Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code JJ50 to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. mybookie.ag, promo code JJ50, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. mybookie.ag.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
In on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2 and ESPN Radio. What do?
We get to find individuals that have supported this program all 6 years, exactly what they want.
Yes.
More importantly, when they need it, via radio, television, or podcast.
There's a horse that races professionally, named after this show, called Boss Move. Let's see what Boss Move has been up to lately, Jalen Rose.
And away they go. Just a Bean began slowly and Dovetail a little slow too. Far side is Boss Move right there with the leading group, and West Princess down at the rail. Comes Spacer Rika, who's only 4 lengths off these leaders. And now here comes Boss Move with her run. Boss Move is coming 4 wide, but Boss Move making a big run. Boss Move on the grandstand side now comes looking for the lead and takes it too. Fly as the Falcon tries to go on. Dream of Eagles down at the rail. But Boss Move has put them all away. And from here on in, just a matter of how far. Boss Move.
Boss Move with the victory. I love this horse. Jalen, how come we just don't bet all of our life savings on Boss Move?
We will eventually. And she's a perfect representation of our show.
A Woman Crush Wednesday.
Because all she do is win.
Exactly. All she does is win. And something tells me that your life savings is a little bit bigger than mine, let's be honest. Guess what? Kevin Durant's still being weird this offseason. This was from modernluxury.com. He was very upset after the news broke that he was leaving Oklahoma City to the Thunder. Him and his agent, Rich Kleinman, were in China when the following exchange occurred, according to Kleinman.
What?
Kleinman said, quote, "We were all messed up on jet lag. I was up at 6 a.m. and he calls me and says, 'Yo, are you up?' That's my Kevin Durant voice. And I'm like, 'Yeah, what's up?' And he's like yelling, 'What the bleep did you let me do this to my life?' And I'm like, 'Oh, I'm coming over to your room.' And then Kevin Durant said, 'The hotel was rock bottom.'" Are you surprised that Kevin Durant had such a reaction to the backlash from his decision to go to the Warriors a year ago?
Not at all. Rich is the homie. I got him on text. And the thing about KD's decision, sports fans, people forget the term is short for fanatic.
Okay.
And so people get invested because maybe it's the team that they root for. Maybe they're just fans of the league. Maybe they care about the integrity of the game. Maybe they're the betting public. There's so many different things that go into why people love sports. The life lessons that come with it, just the beauty and the grace of watching NBA basketball, as I've said multiple times, as it's passed the popularity of football. And with that being said, Kevin Durant's an MVP in OKC.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 4-time scoring champ. I love seeing him play with an all-NBA performer in Russell Westbrook, who went on to become an MVP in his own right and form what was a dynamic duo. And the more you have those pockets of players spread around the league, like Chris Paul and Harden, we see it with Russell and Paul George. I know it's not the 4 All-Stars of the Golden State Warriors, but that makes the game more intriguing when I have the remote control in my hand watching League Pass. And I was just like everybody else. When the Golden State Warriors lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, I was like, okay, LeBron, way to put the smack down. It's going to be interesting now. Absolutely. And so when he left OKC after they were in Game 7, and joined the Warriors, I was like, oh, no.
You and everybody else. And apparently that really affected Kevin Durant. And now we know, thanks to his burner Twitter accounts, why he left. He didn't like playing for Coach Donovan, and he liked Russ, but he didn't like the rest of the roster. Now, all of this that's happened this offseason with the fake Twitter account and the sneaker tiff that he had with Steph Curry, all of this, according to The Vertical, has not gone unnoticed by team officials and players alike. Jalen, let me talk to you a little bit about what has not gone unnoticed by team officials at the Golden State Warriors. Because this is like, the way that they frame it, they make it seem like they're worried about Kevin Durant, or the Warriors are concerned that his offseason has gone weird. Do you know what they noticed? They noticed him win Finals MVP. They noticed him pull up and hit that three that won them Game 3. And you know what else that they noticed more than that? They noticed him take less money to keep the team together. So let's not act like a weird Twitter account or some strange behavior or some comment about Under Armour sneakers is going to change the way that the players or the team feels about Kevin Durant. And the players, the only reason they're noticing and taking notes so they can make fun of him in the locker room. That's all it is. The players don't care what you do on Twitter. They're just going to make fun of you in the locker room. And the front office doesn't care what you do on Twitter if you take less money to keep the team together. It's as simple as that.
What are the team officials saying that they're concerned about? What are the quotes? What is the leakage?
Oh, no. It's just unnamed sources saying that team officials have taken note. Of course they've taken note. It's all over the news. But here's the thing. This dude could grow a beard and move to Montana and start recording country albums. It doesn't matter if you are the second best player in the league. You can be as weird as you want in the offseason if you get your buckets during the regular season, which is exactly what he's going to do. No one's going to care about his burner Twitter account when they're 20-4 or whatever after 24 games.
Nah, I disagree with you there.
Oh, okay.
Now, team officials and players alike need to stay anonymous because I agree with you. That's ridiculous to take what he's done this offseason, nothing criminal, and apply that to him as a basketball player and his value to the franchise. However, Jacoby, your reputation as being real takes a big hit when you create phony accounts to troll fans and talk really well about yourself and talk bad about your former organization that drafted you, a coach in Billy Donovan, and your teammates, who, by the way, you were their leader and their best player. So, of course, we don't have what it takes. We got you.
I mean, it's not ideal behavior, I have to admit that. But here, you know what is ideal? Guarding LeBron and winning Finals MVP and bringing a championship to Golden State, which he will do not just last year, but probably next year and maybe even the year after that. And one thing that will not go unnoticed again, I'll take a little haircut. I'll take a little haircut to keep Andre Iguodala around. That is much more important than having a burner account where you speak in the third person about yourself and come back at trolls. It's so weird. It is weird. The more I talk about it, it is a little weird. I can't lie. It is a little weird. Yep. Jalen, I know that you and I differ a little bit in terms of our views on LeVar Ball. But, you know, I think that you've convinced me, and there's certain things that I've read that at his core, he is a good person that helps young people and helps them not just play basketball, but in their lives, which I always support. Certain things he does I don't agree with, but that's fine. But on your side is my man Tony Allen.
Crazy glue.
This is his quote on LeVar Ball. Quote, "If my daddy would have been like that, I probably would have gone number one." Does that reflect some of your opinion as well?
Yep.
I feel the same way. I felt like having that level of support is something that you have to have really tough skin because his personality is so dominant. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that his kids just sit back and just let him cook because they're used to hearing him and seeing him all of the time because he's dad.
Yep.
But I do feel like if I had that level of father figure support that I would have been 10 feet taller. But I ain't complaining at all. It worked out so fantastic, wonderful, amazing, terrific for me that my mom ended up giving me what LeVar Ball gives his kids.
Shout
and
out
I'm
to Jeannie
forever
Rose.
grateful.
Shout out to Jeannie Rose.
Shout out.
So, you and I don't get caught up in the list making too much. You know what I mean? 'Cause we're not going to fall for that trap. But I just want to see how you, off the top of the head with no preparation, as you always do, differ from the dozens of people that are involved in creating the BPI algorithm and all the people at ESPN that just put their minds together and come up with the NBA power ranking system. So according to BPI, they have made a list of the power ranking of the teams in both the Eastern and Western Conference, not separate, all together. So I'm just going to go off the top of the head, Jalen Rose. You tell me your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the National Basketball Association. I'm not going to hold you to this. I know you're not prepared for this. We'll revisit it as we get closer to the season. But when they released this list, I did not agree with it, and I want to know where you're at.
I'm not saying I'm the one. No, sorry, I lied.
Oh.
I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Perfect.
So I'm about to give the people what they want off the dome.
I saw you taking pen and paper out. You usually don't do
like
that.
Like KRS-One would do, because sometimes you forget about squads. You got to think about the moves that were made in the offseason.
Of course.
So I'm literally talking about regular season records only.
Yep, not who's going to win the championship, just regular season records. Okay, that's
regular
fair.
Season records only. Let me stress that part.
Yeah, because that's going to sway it a little bit towards some Eastern Conference teams that play other Eastern Conference teams more.
The Golden State Warriors, number 1.
No doubt.
Yep. Houston Rockets, number 2.
Okay, so far you and the ESPN BPI rankings are in tune.
Boston Celtics, number 3.
What? Yep, they have the Spurs at number 3, but I think when you say regular season win totals only, that certainly will leapfrog the Celtics over the Spurs.
4, the San Antonio Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
And 5th.
Say it.
How about this? You ready for this one?
Say it.
Clippers.
What? Oh, I like it. What? I like it. They have the Clippers at number 12. You and I are high on the Clippers this year. First of all, I'm kind of a die-easy Clipper fan, so I'm always high on the Clippers. But I'm telling you, play it again, Reg. I'm totally on the Clippers fan. Just do it. I do believe in this Clippers team. I think there's a chemistry thing with Chris Paul and the rest of the team, and people act like that doesn't matter, but it does matter. I do. Danilo Gallinari.
Oh, wait a minute. Hit the brakes.
Why, man? I feel like every time I hit the brakes, you got to disagree with me and make me feel bad about myself.
Oklahoma City is in front of the Clippers.
Oh, that's what ESPN has, too.
So let me do my list again. I'll just make sure, because when I say this into a microphone, people hold me to these things. I'm an analyst on television and on radio and on podcasts. The top 5 regular season records will be the Golden State Warriors, number 1. The Houston Rockets, number 2. The Boston Celtics, No, I'll take that back.
What are you doing? You had the Celtics at 3.
Golden State Warriors, number 1. Number 2, Houston Rockets. Number 3, the Celtics. Number 4, OKC. Ooh. And number 5, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, okay. I think that makes a little bit more sense. Because I'm not sure. I think they just do it generally in terms of how good your basketball team is. Because when you do it by regular season record, you're going to eat up some wins if you're in the Eastern Conference because you play more Eastern Conference teams. So the Cavs and the Celtics will have better records. I do like that you have the Celtics above the Cavs. And I also like that you even mentioned the Clippers. Clippers fans right now, Marcellus Wiley listens to this show every single day on his way home. He's so happy right now that you mentioned the Clippers. He is so happy. He just texted me twice. Just weird emojis that I can't even understand.
And the San Antonio Spurs, number 6. The Clippers, number 7.
Yep. In BPI, they have the Wolves, Raptors, Wizards, Bucks, and Nuggets in front of the Clippers. Clippers just don't get any respect. They get no respect. Jalen Rose. George R.R. Martin is working on Game of Thrones prequels, and he hasn't even finished the actual books yet. How much does that upset you?
Well, it doesn't bother me at all because I don't care about Game of Thrones either. I was having power withdrawals. Watched the episode before I came to do this program.
No, you didn't. No, you did not. You rewatched old Power episodes? You need to learn how to knit or something. You need a hobby. Come on, Jalen. You're rewatching old Power episodes?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's weird. I'm going to say that's weird. You don't think that's weird? Yep. We're worried about Kevin Durant having burner Twitter accounts. You're rewatching Power episodes.
Well, they start shooting the 3rd season today. I'm excited about that.
Yep. Oh, good. What about the 6 spin-off shows that 50 Cent sold to them?
Shout out.
When do they start the show? Something tells me that ink isn't dry on the paper. Something tells me that never really got papered. I don't know. I think that might have been a press release and not a contract. Jalen Rose, what are we doing this show? Part of giving the people what they want is not talking about uninteresting things in the world of sports and pop culture. So we have a segment called Keep It Moving, where if it is worth talking about, we will
hit the brakes.
And if it is not, we will.
We be moving, you know we keep it moving.
Are you ready?
Let's get it.
The NFLPA unanimously re-elects DeMaurice Smith. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Oh, so unanimously re-elect DeMaurice Smith. The Players Association. Jalen Rose, do you have any recommendations for what the Players Association could possibly organize?
They should do a protest that leads to a strike one of these Sundays of football, where everybody decides that we're just not going to play football. Now, it's going to cost you a game check, but, man, it'll send such a strong message to the NFL and its owners when they see the game is different from 1987. In 1987, when the players were on strike, it was a different era in sports. It was the same era where media members and fans were looking at players in the NCAA like, shut up and just be happy you got a scholarship. Oh, they shouldn't be getting anything else. Now you like, wait a minute, the NCAA make how much money? Oh, man, they need to be cutting them in. Same thing is going to happen when multi-billion-dollar conglomerate NFL plus multi-billion-dollar owners have all of the leverage ultimately when it's a big bank versus little bank play. So if we're going to hold out and do things that they can see coming, then they can cover themselves. But if you find a way to be like, you know what, we're just not playing Sunday. Forget fantasy football. Look at that industry, how much money they're making off the backs of the players. If they decided not to play football, oh, man, they start getting some stuff done with their collective bargaining agreement. Just my opinion.
Ex-NFL player Charles Peanut Tillman is reportedly training to join the FBI. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
All right, so Peanut Tillman is reportedly training to join the FBI. Here's my number one question. Does the FBI know this? Like, is he training with the FBI? Or is he just, like, in the gym, just, like, getting some work in, being like, I'm going to join the FBI? I need more details.
I just wanted to give Peanut Tillman a shout because I got love for him.
I got love for him, too. Russell Westbrook told Ellen that he only wears each outfit once. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
He told Ellen he wears each outfit once and then donates it to Goodwill or Friends. Something tells me that this is going to Friends and not Goodwill. Those are some expensive outfits.
Yep. Absolutely. But here's the thing. Unless his friends played college basketball with him, they're not his height or his size like.
Oh, I could fit into a Russell Westbrook shirt? Yep. Probably not. I mean, I'd have to lose a couple. I gotta get in the gym.
If you need somewhere to donate, it's good that he's doing that.
Of course.
It's good that he's doing that.
Of course. And also, it's good that someone can go to Goodwill and end up with a designer shirt. You know what I mean?
No question.
I like that idea. I like that. I like that somewhere there's some super dipped, people that walking out of Goodwill happy today.
I do it all the time.
Next, the record has officially been set for home runs in an MLB season. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. The only time we talk about baseball when it's home runs or fights.
You keep adding to the list. We talk about baseball a lot. Streaks, home runs, fights, playoffs. We talk about baseball.
The ball is wound tighter and the ballparks are shorter.
That's what they said. They said that the ball feels different, and I'm starting to believe it. Eli Manning said that he can handle Ben McAdoo's criticism. Keep it moving or hit the brakes. McAdoo blames sloppy quarterback play for the delay of game penalty that was costly in the Monday Night Football game. Manning said, quote, "Hey, you lose games, you only score 10 points, you deserve some criticism. Coach McAdoo knows I can handle it."
For everybody that got their undies in the bunch when the coach came out and said that was sloppy quarterback play on that 4th and 1, I got news for you. It was.
It was. Yeah, it was.
Like, I don't understand how people are trying to dispute what he had to say. Like, oh, if you're going to lead a group of individuals and you can't find a way to actually coach the best player, you might as well not have a job.
Nope.
And Eli's been regressing the last couple of years. I'm just saying. You won those Super Bowls 10 years ago.
Jets CEO Christopher Johnson is denying that his team is tanking. Keep it moving and hit the brakes.
Keep it moving.
We be moving, you know we keep it moving.
Robert Griffin III still has beef with Moss, Santana Moss. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving.
We be moving, you know we keep it moving.
Jake Arrieta is going to rejoin the Cubs on Thursday. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving.
We be moving, you know we keep it moving.
Okay. Tom Brady was named Offensive Player of the Week in the AFC. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
No surprises. Keep it
We be
moving.
moving, you know we keep it moving.
A gentleman snuck back into prison to sell drugs to inmates.
Hit the brakes.
Okay. So this dude was in jail, all right? And then he threw a rock at a police cruiser so he could get arrested. When he was arrested, they realized, or he confessed, that he had 59 grams of marijuana, a gram of MDMA, tobacco, matches, and rolling papers in a very special hiding place on his body. So he was in jail, got out of jail, threw a rock at a police cruiser so he could smuggle drugs back into jail.
What?
If only the people listening to this radio show could see your face right now. If only they could see your face.
See, the only reason why I'm truly not going to go in is because only people that do things like that may have psychological issues.
It does seem like if you had some drugs that you wanted to sell, you don't necessarily have to go to the prison market to do it. You know what I
Let me
mean?
see. Should I sell them in
Outside.
prison, or should I sell them to the rest of the world?
Yeah, should I sell them in a building that's completely surveillanced by police officers, or should I go somewhere else? That's a good point. You have to have some sort of mental issues for that.
Yeah.
Triple G and Canelo are looking at a rematch, making the preparations all ready. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
No surprises. Keep it moving.
We be moving, you know
I know
we
who
keep
ain't
it
going to be a
moving.
judge.
Terrell Pryor politely asked a Washington football safety, Cody Davis, not to go for his knees on Twitter. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
What?
Hit the brakes.
I like this. He goes on Twitter and he's just like, hey, at Cody Davis, hey, man, please don't injure my knees this week. I like it. I support it. It was if you do it, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. He was polite about it.
Well, if you're a wide receiver and Larry Fitzgerald comes to mind in talking about this, they much rather get hit from the shoulders up than the knees down.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. It's like, so all of the protection rules are against getting hit above the shoulders, but not really the ones that'll keep you out of your career, which is low. And you know what's going to happen. In football, I'm telling you, I told you where football is going in 20 years.
Yep.
You're going to have to wrap up when you hit. That's the way it's going to be. You're going to have to wrap up just like rugby. And you're also going to see that everyone's going to start wearing those Michael Bennett shoulder pads, those super thin shoulder pads around the line, too. Shoulder pads are overrated. You'll see. Everyone's going to see. Finally, Carmelo Anthony is cautiously optimistic about a deal that will send him to the Rockets. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
He said he's cautiously optimistic about a deal that he will end up going to the Rockets. Do you think it'll happen?
Well, here's the thing. Who has a no-trade clause?
Carmelo Anthony.
Whose contract would have to move from the Rockets in order to complete this deal?
Ryan Anderson.
So unless they find a third team, the Knicks don't want his contract.
No one wants Ryan Anderson contact. Who is sitting around being like, I need Ryan Anderson for $20 million a year, or whatever he makes, for 3 more years?
But the Rockets just got sold, so maybe they're going to write a check along with the trade of Ryan Anderson.
It's possible.
In order to complete the
I
deal.
like what you did there, Jalen Rose. Good point. Jalen Rose, Marquette King.
Shout out.
Everyone's favorite punter. Marquette King.
Friend of the program.
Has a pet lizard. Which had me and the staff thinking, is a lizard a good pet?
No.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, what one of our staff members who doesn't like it when I use his name, he said it's a tier 2 pet. He's got a separate tier of pets for pets that can't come when they're called or recognize that you're speaking to them.
That's very nice. Where the fish land in that?
Fish are in there. I feel like a guinea pig is in there, or like a bunny rabbit. You know, it's just like, I want a pet that I can interact with at least a little bit. A snake. I think people that have snakes as pets are weird. Just throwing that out there.
A pet that can welcome you when you get home?
Yeah. I also think that parrots are weird pets, too. Yeah. Pets shouldn't be able to talk. They really shouldn't be able to talk.
No.
But you know I like to go negative. So I'm going to ask you who you think the worst teams are in the NBA. ESPN put out their BPI, Basketball Power Index stats, and they are, the worst teams are kind of harder to call than the best teams.
Right. So you mean who's going to have the worst regular season records?
Something like that. They don't do it exactly like that, but that's how we'll do it for the sake of this program.
How about they play in the West? Sacramento Kings?
Oh yeah, they're down there. Yep. They're down there.
What about let me show you how the East Coast rock. Let me get to the East quick.
Okay.
What about Jersey? I'm sorry, what about the Nets?
I like that you call them Jersey. They're out there too. They're at the bottom. And a couple other teams, the other two teams that they have in their bottom four are also in the Eastern Conference.
So that was 2 of the 4?
Yeah, you had the 27 is the Kings, 28 is the Nets, so 29 and 30, who ESPN has. 2 of the worst teams according to Basketball Power Index, which is different than Jalen Rose's gut or a fan's gut. They've got math and stuff to back it up. Doesn't make it more right or wrong. These surprised me, but when I say them, they won't surprise you. Think about teams that were great a few years ago that are now just tanking in the Eastern Conference.
How about great a few years ago?
Record-breaking a few years ago. 62 wins a few years ago.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yep, the Atlanta Hawks. And this team was up 2-0 in a playoff series against the number 1 seed last year. They've got
the Bulls,
the Kings, the Nets, the Hawks, and the Bulls. Man, Knicks fans can't get mentioned anywhere. Knicks can't get mentioned anywhere. Nope. Here's the thing. There are a lot of undefeated teams in the NFL right now. A lot of fan bases that are looking at their 2-0 teams and they're going, this is our year. This is the year we win the division. This is the year we make the playoffs. And you know who's leading that charge? You, Jalen Rose, and your Detroit Lions. Yep. So Negative Jacoby is here just to crush all of your dreams and point out that your 2-0 team is actually not as good as you think it is. And, of course, we start with the Detroit Lions. Jalen Rose, did you know that Matt Stafford had 122 passing yards on Monday night? The least he's ever had in a win. That is a reason to go negative.
I know that Ziggy Ansah had 3 sacks.
Okay. Also, do you know who the Lions play this weekend? Do you know who they
Falcons.
play? They play the Atlanta Falcons. Your team is about to get crushed by the Atlanta Falcons, who thus far look like one of the best teams on both sides of the ball. I'm going negative on the Lions. Do you have anything to say in defense of your terrible franchise?
The bottom line is this. We can show it on the field. We go out and thump Atlanta, play a good football game, you'll change your tune that fast. It can get settled on the field.
I will do. This isn't even a bet. This is just an offer. I will do 10 on-wax push-ups if you guys beat the Falcons this weekend. Next team I'm going to go negative on, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers are 2-0, but it's really not an impressive 2-0. Cam's getting sacked everywhere. That's still a problem. And then Cam's security blanket, tight end Greg Olsen, he's out. And that's, Greg Olsen's such a big part of their team that he has led the Panthers in receptions the past 4 years heading into this season. Not only that, the Panthers are averaging 4.2 yards per play, not per rush, per play. That is the 3rd worst in the NFL. And not only that, Cam Newton is wearing crazy outfits, and the Panthers are so bad that no one even notices. Do you have anything positive to say about the Carolina Panthers?
Well, it's more discussed and more noticed, I guess, when your team has the kind of record that they had a couple of years ago and you lead them to the Super Bowl. Now it's like we're looking for it. The key, however, for the Carolina Panthers is Cam's accuracy has to improve. That's one of the things that I noticed, and that would help that 4-yard average per play. Yep. But they are 2-0. Yep. They do have Cam. Oh, Cam. So based on that, I think they'll be just fine. Put the ball in the belly of Stewart, dump it off to McCaffrey, throw it long to Funches. They'll be just fine.
Yep. Next team I'm going to go negative on, the 2-0 Denver Broncos. The Broncos have been pretty good. They got a big win against the Cowboys. That looked great. However, here's the thing. Trevor Siemian is still the quarterback. Trevor Siemian has 2 completions in which the ball traveled over 15 yards in the air. 2. That's 1 per game. That is not great. Also, they have the 7th highest 3-and-out percentage in the league. 42% of the time, they're going 3-and-out. And also, this is really the problem. At some point, having your team in the NFL in a city in which recreational medicinal use is legal, that's going to come around and bite them. It's going to come around and bite them, whether it's suspensions or whether it's lackadaisical effort on the part of the players or the fans. This cannot be good for your performance on the football field.
That defense travels, and they're physical. Von's still getting up the field. The defensive backs locked down. I understand what you're saying about Siemian and only completing 2 passes longer than 15 yards. That sounds Tim Tebow-esque. But they do have Sanders, Demaryius Thomas on the outsides. Those are the kind of weapons you can throw the football to short, and they can turn it into a big play. And their run game looked really stout versus the Dallas Cowboys.
C.J. Anderson.
So I'm not rolling with you on the Broncos. You can clown my Lions, but the Broncos...
I'm going negative on the Broncos. Okay, we'll see Trevor Siemian bring them to a Super Bowl victory. We'll see. I'm going negative on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So far this season, Le'Veon Bell's averaging 3.2 yards a carry. That is 33rd worst in the NFL. They're converting 30% of their third downs. Only 5 teams across the NFL are worse than that, and all 5 of those teams are 0-2. And finally, you can't trust your franchise to a guy who has hair like that. Look at Ben Roethlisberger's hair. I don't know what's happening there. The slick back thing, like that, I cannot trust my franchise with a guy with that haircut. Can you go positive on the Steelers?
Multiple killer bees. We're going to talk a lot about Ben and Brian and Bell, and rightfully so. But all I know is he was habitual medicinal. But when Martavis Bryant is on the field, caught a long touchdown last week. Their offense is explosive. And when you look at the AFC, there's so many really good teams. I think they'll be in the mix just because of their offense.
Let me finish with a 2-0 team in the AFC that is not a really good team. The Ravens. I have 3 reasons why the Ravens are not going to succeed this year. I know your fan base is excited about the Ravens. I get it, Ravens fans. I love Baltimore. But here is Negative Jacoby's take on your team. Joe Flacco is still the quarterback. Joe Flacco is still the quarterback. And Joe Flacco is still the quarterback. You cannot go positive on the Ravens.
How can you say that when Joe Flacco actually helped lead his team to a Super Bowl, which led to him getting a $100 million contract? What you can't sleep on is their physical D, and how some strange reason every year John Harbaugh doesn't get talked about amongst the best coaches in the NFL, which he is. He seems to get the most out of the least. Defense, special teams, and finding ways to manufacture points with that offense.
So, Jalen, last segment, I went negative on all of the 2-0 teams and poked holes in them and why their fan bases should be upset.
And you had the nerve to talk about my Lions.
Of course I did. Started with your Lions. Your Lions are whack. They're about to lose to the Falcons badly. So now I'm going to go positive, though. Now we're going to look at some 0-2 teams, and I'm going to give you some reasons why their fan bases should be confident. It's a lot harder than going negative, going positive for me. Trust me. And you'll know why in a second, because I'm about to start talking about these teams. Let's start with the Giants. They're 0-2. They lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Lions on Monday night. They didn't look good in either game, especially offensively. But here's the thing. I'm going to go positive. You got your playmaker back, Odell Beckham Jr. He only caught about 3 or 4 passes on Monday night that I saw. Didn't break any of them, but he didn't lack for explosiveness. He seemed excited. He seemed into the game. Seemed like he had a terrible haircut, but that's not so bad.
Speaking of terrible haircuts, you need to look at Brandon Marshall's.
Yep. Brandon Marshall's like, you know what? I'm wearing a helmet anyway. I'm not going to put too much effort into this. At some point, Brandon Marshall has to get going. He's only got 2 catches this season. 2 catches. And in every single season since his second year in the league, he's had 59. He has to regress to the mean. That's no reason to be positive about them. And the Giants' defense has only allowed 5 opposing drives to reach the red zone. That's tied for 9th fewest in the NFL. So, Jalen,
ninth fewest?
That's you're in the top third there, top 33%. Tile.
That was a reach.
This is all a reach. The Giants are terrible. I'm trying to go positive here, okay?
Okay, so here's my assessment of the New York Football Giants,
Okay.
who I saw get dismantled on Monday Night Football by, one of the 2-0 teams. Okay. Their main issue is something they can't fix, and you can't with this conversation. Their offensive line is trash.
Yeah, Flowers, he's living up to his name. Let's just say that.
And so, Eli, who clearly isn't mobile,
Thank you, Reg.
while he has led the Giants to 2 Super Bowls, 1 MVP each time, people act like that was last year. That was a decade ago.
That was a long time ago.
In that decade,
That's how
he's
we
led
catch.
the NFL in interceptions multiple times. They've not made the playoffs multiple times. And the coach starts to look at him so mortal that he calls him out in the media.
I feel like Peyton texts him, like, Eli, retirement's real good. Like, you see what I did with my day? How was your hard day of practice? Because guess what? I fished.
And you know the one thing you can't do if you're not going to be able to protect your mannequin quarterback because your offensive line is terrible? Definitely can't run the football.
Oh, no, they're not running the ball. Nope. Their running backs are owned in 0% of fantasy leagues. It's like, nope, that ain't happening.
So that eliminates all the play action.
So we were supposed to go positive
here.
We were supposed to go positive here. You see, we have nothing to say about the Giants positive. Let me try another team. See how this works.
Okay.
This one's going to be harder even. The Bengals are 0-2. None of the Bengals' upcoming 7 games are in prime time. So Andy Dalton has a 2/3 winning percentage in games that are not in prime time. And he has a 30% winning percentage in games that are not in prime time. So basically what I'm saying is Andy Dalton, he's not ready for the big lights. But you don't have to worry about it because there are no nationally televised games for them in the next 7 games. And that's when Andy Dalton really thrives.
Here's the problem for the Bengals. They're in the AFC. That's their issue.
They got other issues than
KC
that.
lost Eric Berry. Other than that, I've been saying from the beginning that was going to be my pick to knock off the Patriots later in the season, as they did the first game. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Raiders, all reside in the AFC. Not good for the Bengals. But they still have A.J. Green, who you didn't mention. They have a few running backs, a rookie in Mixon, who I think that they're going to find a way to get going. They have a really good tight end.
They average 3.5 yards per rush, which is 22nd in the NFL. They haven't scored a rushing touchdown.
What?
The Bengals are bad. This is a hard segment to do. I'm going to go positive on the Chargers. Can I go positive on the Chargers?
And they're paying Marvin Lewis by the hour.
Can I go positive on the Chargers? Really easy to get a seat to a Chargers game. You know, there's only about 30,000 of them, but they're available.
But it's hard to get a parking spot. It's $100.
Yep. You can bring the whole family to the Chargers game. That's positive.
And they can even sit in Phillip Rivers' van.
There's legitimately, they did lose in 2 flukes. Like, that game against the Dolphins could have easily gone either way. They could have been one of the teams that was 2-0 that we just spoke about in the previous segment.
Yep.
They could have been there.
Hit the brakes on them for a second.
Oh, man.
I'm cutting that kicker.
Oh, yeah?
No question.
You see that their old kicker tweeted videos of him making field goals after he missed?
There have to be
that.
Individuals roaming the earth that can make a 40-yard field goal to tie game 1 and or to win game 2. They have to exist.
Let me go positive on Phillip Rivers here. Okay, he's 0-2. But he is playing well. He's tied for 5th in passing touchdowns with 4.
I know, he on my fantasy team.
He's 4th in completion percentage. That's a real thing. He's 3 out of 4 passes are going complete. 8th in total QBR. He has a better QBR than Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, and Aaron Rodgers.
Shout to the homie.
Shout out.
I thought you were going to continue. Just shout to the homie. Just shout to the homie, Phillip Rivers. That's your homie? He can invite you to roll around in the souped out SUV?
No, I was going to say shout to the homie Antonio Gates. He also from Detroit. Caught more touchdown passes than any tight end in the history of the game.
Shout out.
Let me go positive on a couple of more 0-2 teams. The Colts. They got Jacoby. Okay, when you got the future of the franchise right there. You got Jacoby. Obi-Wan Jacoby's got the ball. He got them into. They are such a bad team that dragging the Colts to overtime against the Cardinals is a huge success for them. That's a huge success for them. And if you're the Colts, let me go positive here. Guess who you're playing next week? Browns. You got Jacoby. You're going up against the Browns. If I'm a Colts fan, I'm like, we're about to be 1-2. We're about to be 1-2.
And Deshaun Kaiser of the Browns has been dealing with migraines. Here's what I hope doesn't happen to Jacoby, playing with a terrible Colts team, that he becomes RG3.
Yep. You see RG3 getting buckets? Do you see his pickup? He had this video. He was getting buckets against some white dudes.
Small legs. I always said that about him on this show.
You did. You always said thin legs. Thin legs on RG3. Well, guess what? So they got broken.
I really, on our program, would love to do a segment, football and or basketball, because the job turnover is so fascinating. Yep. Where you see a player like RG3, just a handful of years ago, the Rams traded 5 or 6 players for him. Now we're talking about him playing basketball. That's amazing.
Yep. One thing I love that you do is, since you don't ever involve yourself in the pre-production meetings or preparation for the show, you're just on the show, just pitch segments. Yeah, you just pitch segments on the air. You're like, you know what we should do? You're talking to the producers and me about tomorrow's show on the air today. Finally, I'm going to go positive.
Too, I want to talk. I do that for the Mr. Me Too's to steal things for our program, remix them and say it like they're theirs.
They should. Going positive, the Browns and the 49ers have the third easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. Their opponents' all winning percentage combined are under 500. So you have to win some games. That's what it is positive for the Browns and the 49ers. At some point, you will win games.
Alex Smith will be the 49ers quarterback next year.
And we're putting it on wax.
As we do every Wednesday, we are first taking female callers. Don't forget, call 98580 Jalen, leave us voicemails. We'll play them on the show just like this.
What's going on, Jalen and Jacoby? It's Brittany. I am an American, but I am currently in my second year of playing professional basketball overseas in Belgium, so shout out. First of all, I hope I get this played on air because I'm getting charged 20 cents a minute for this call, so shout out to Reg. Look me up. 2 questions for Jalen. So I was born in 1994, which means I'm obviously a little young to really say I'm a huge fan of a lot of the major sports names like the Bad Boys and the Fat Five, but I am, and a lot of my friends don't agree because they think I'm too young to understand. So, Jalen, if you could replay any moment in college history that you played in, what moment would that be? And also, I love the Bad Boys. As I stated, I watched their documentary over and over, as well as the Fat Five. Sorry, I'm choking. I'm nervous. But do you think that today's NBA players could at all manage to be able to play against the type of aggression that the Bad Boys played with back in the day? So, love you guys. Thanks so much for the call. And, shout out.
Thank you for the call, Brittany. We appreciate the support of our fine program, especially when you're taking your time
and money,
your energy, and spending your hard-earned money to call us from Belgium.
Before you get to your answers, Jalen Rose, because those are 2 good questions, right? I want you to think about what moment you would replay in college, and could the Bad Boys keep up with could the people today play with the Bad Boys? I want to say this. Number 1, for every male listener that plays pickup basketball once in a while, I promise Brittany will give you buckets. Just remember that. We always say this, but it's especially relevant on Women Crush Wednesday. Remember, Brittany she cashes checks to play basketball. You're an accountant. You know what I mean? You work on Wall Street. You're an educator. You're a student. Whatever you do, Brittany will give you buckets no matter how big, tall, whatever. Oh, you played D3, whatever. Brittany will give you buckets. I just want to get that out of the way. Number 2. Belgium is one of those countries I don't know where it is. It's like Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, all of those like kind of German, but not the UK countries that I can't really find them. But shout to Brittany. Now continue, Jalen Rose. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Our program needs to make sure we support Brittany, find out where she plays, and send her some gear.
And don't
so
be
she can
nervous.
Represent international.
Brittany, don't be nervous for leaving a voicemail. We're not nervous to sitting here talking to you.
And so let me answer her a couple of questions. If I could replay a couple of moments, no doubt it'll be the 1993 championship game when Macy Elwood, Christopher Webber III got the rebound off the missed free throw.
Traveled.
I couldn't do nothing about that. That's the only thing. I couldn't do nothing about that part.
You can call it.
But I guess I should have ran and put my hand in his hip pocket and forced him to give me the ball.
Yeah, let me say that. Like, how come there weren't any guards bringing up the ball? No one ran. Jimmy, Ray, no one ran at him like, give me the ball, go to the post, let's get this bucket. Like, that's not what you do, Chris Webber.
During the course of the game, that is what he did. Frequently, multiple times, he and or Jawan would get the board, and we'd be out on the break. There's so many poignant highlights of him doing that from 7th and 8th grade through college, where he became one of the best passing, ball handling, more versatile, powerful big men, not only in the college game,
in the pros,
but in the NBA game. So that's why. As far as the bad boys, the rules were different.
Mm-hmm.
How physical you could be mattered back in the day. That level of intimidation existed then. It does not exist now. You can say whatever you want. You can point up at the sky. You can laugh in a guy's face. He can't truly do nothing about it. The era of basketball that she's describing, you could drive down the lane. The first guy will foul you, get the whistle, and the second guy will foul you much harder.
Yes, and also another thing, even when you watch the Fab Five play, you guys would have got whistled for all the in-the-face stuff and pointing at people, dunking on somebody, and then pushing them while you run back on. Like, all of that would have gotten you suspended, and they would have written twice as many articles about you now than they would have back then. There would have been so many technical fouls. But continue.
I know one thing, though. If I would have stepped on a player's chest like Christian Laettner did to the player from Kentucky, I'll still be on probation. I bet you that.
Okay.
So with that being said, the bad boys could play in any era. Look at their backcourt. 2 Hall of Famers, Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. Competed on both ends of the floor and were as tough as they come. And Bill Laimbeer was actually a stretch 5, which you see prominently in today's game. Dennis Rodman, one of the best power forwards, the best non-rebounding big the game has seen. So absolutely. No question about it, they can run.
Thank you so much for the call, Jalen Rose. Can I make just like a quick 10-second confession? You ever get Starbucks coffee and then they give you that thing that they plug into the hole on top to keep it warm? Well, I was just about to use that to pick my nose, and I forgot there were cameras in the studio.
That's too hard to pick your nose. Your nose will be bleeding.
Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hey, Jalen. Hey, Jacoby. It's Andrea from Minnesota. So, in honor of Women Crush Wednesday, I thought you guys should speak about the Lynx and the Sparks big WNBA Finals matchup. A rematch of last year where my Lynx, we kind of got gypped at the last second. So if you guys would honor us women who are also into basketball, that would be amazing. Thank you guys for all that you do, and I am a daily podcast listener. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Andrea. Representing Minnesota. Midwest is in the house.
Shout out.
We appreciate the support and all of the love. I will say, 2 of my favorite WNBA players are actually in this series.
Okay.
One is Candace Parker.
I know who the other one is.
Of the defending champion Sparks, who, while I was visiting Tennessee as my assistant, as my high school JV coach, was also an assistant on Bruce Pearl's staff. So I got a chance to visit Tennessee. Just so happened she was still in college. And lo and behold, I am in the gym I love telling this story on the Women Crush Wednesday. She's playing 5-on-5 with the guys, and before you know it, she get the lane and go dunk on them.
Okay.
She wasn't playing around. So I'm not surprised at the success she's having, still carrying on the legacy of the late, great Pat Summitt, who's a legend. The other, Maya Moore. She be balling. Mid-range, three-pointers, driving.
Yep. Ogumike, I always liked. A lot of beard. A lot of beard is in there.
So, again.
A lot of stars.
I'm glad you brought that up. Star power in the WNBA. And I've said it on this program. Jacoby has said it on this program. When it happens, know where you heard it first. They need to get paid more.
They need to get paid more. They need. I mean,
like seriously,
we're talking about revenue sharing and you're selling the Rockets for $2.2 billion.
Come on now.
We got Brittany out here calling in from Belgium because she's getting paid more to play in Belgium. Diana Taurasi's going out to Russia to play out there.
Correct.
Diana Taurasi, in my mind, is the GOAT. She's the greatest of all time in women's basketball. In my mind, that's my opinion. That's my personal opinion.
Oh, she's in the conversation, no doubt about it.
She's the GOAT to me. Thank you so much for the call, Andrea. Not to be the politically correct police, but there's a term that Andrea used that we, as a society, should probably stop using. But we'll, she knows what I'm talking about. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Jalen, Jacoby, what up, though? This is Dawn from Columbus. So I don't know if you guys remember me calling back a little while ago asking if it was a soft move or a boss move about my boyfriend Chris wanting to have spinning rims on his minivan in the future. Well, I just want to give a shout out to him because he proposed this past weekend and I said yes. So it looks like we're on our way to joining the minivan mafia in the future. But listen, me and Chris, we close a lot of gaps. So I'm black, he's white. I consider myself Protestant. He considers himself Catholic. Our pastors are from Australia and Ireland. They're husband and wife, and they're both going to marry us. And the husband, he's going to be wearing the traditional Irish kilt. So we have quite the blend going on. But one thing that we have in common that we both love is classic 90s hip-hop and R&B. So my question for you both is, what are your suggestions for certain throwback classic 90s songs that are going to get people on the dance floor at our wedding? That's it, guys. Thank you. And shout out to everyone on the staff because you guys keep giving people what they want. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you so much for the call. First of all, I love a swirl couple in a minivan. You know what I mean?
Doubt.
That's my life. I'm living the swirl minivan life right now. Shout out to her. And so, to answer your question, first of all, I want him to be in a kilt too. Second of all, you can't go with the typical 90s songs. You leave the Nas and the Wu-Tang and the Boot Camp Clique. You got to leave. That's not wedding music. You got to go more Naughty by Nature.
There's a word for what you're talking about.
Like more single. You know what I mean? You got to remember your mom's there. It ain't Wu-Tang Clan. Ain't nothing to F with. It's a little more hip hop parade. That's what I got to say about that. A little more Tribe. You know what? And a little less Onyx. Let's just go there with the mid 90s. Thank you guys so much for the call. I'm now extremely invested in this relationship, so we need updates. Go, Jalen.
Shout out.
And also, too, that's great advice you gave. And I have to say something about what I feel our program has become that I appreciate. It's more than just a podcast, a radio show, and a television show. It's therapeutic.
It's a community.
When she was talking to us, it was like we the homeboys sitting in the back of the minivan.
Shout out to Chris.
Get me advice. But there's so many.
Shout out to Chris for locking it down.
Shout out.
Yeah, congratulations, Chris. No doubt about it.
Jalen Rose, we have a very simple motto on this program. Part of giving the people what they want is opening up our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed and taking questions from you, our audience. This came from Czar. The audio czar wants to know, since we now good idea of what the Grizzlies roster will be this season, is Grit and Grind dead, or will we see Grit and Grind 2.0?
The term, in theory, was a perfect mix of what that town represents and a roster that reflected in its play. So the players in particular to help shape that were two of them still on the squad, in Conley.
Gasol.
And Mark Gasol. But then you lose two, Zebo and Tony Allen.
But don't you feel like Zebo and Tony Allen more personified grit and grind than Marc Gasol and Conley. And if you look at their team, they've got just some, it's a different starting five. I'm looking at their ESPN depth chart, which isn't always exactly who starts and who sits, but Brandon Wright, Wayne Selden they have starting at shooting guard, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, Chandler Parsons. Do you know what this doesn't look like to me, Jalen Rose? A playoff team.
And also, when you talk about that embodiment of grit and grind, Tony Allen nickname was
Crazy Glue.
The Grindfather.
Okay. Kind of like the Podfather. Shout to the Podfather. Forever shout to the Podfather.
All I know is y'all was watching the fight and y'all couldn't call me.
Jalen.
I took that some type of way.
Jalen, you're 3,000 miles away, okay? And we assume you're asleep. Two things. I will call you after 10 p.m. in case you didn't notice. But this team, this Memphis team is different now. And it's one of those – I love Coach Fizdale, too, by the way. One of my favorites.
No doubt.
He's a champion coach. He won a couple chips with the Heat.
Shout out.
I love Coach Fizz, but you have to wonder about this team. Like, you're not going to make the playoffs. No. And because of the way that the draft – they're trying to fix this about the draft structuring, but, like, this team might not be motivated to win basketball games.
No. Well, you left out one of the most important things about this team, too.
Chandler Parsons' knees.
They play in the West.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. And with the Nuggets getting so much better, I feel like they're a playoff team. And you look at the Blazers, like, and the Thunder, like, there's no spot for them. There's no spot for them. Thank you so much for the tweet, Audio Czar.
Shout out.
Let's go to our next. This is another one from him. I like this. Soft move or boss move. Buying a hole puncher to punch holes in restaurants' punch hole rewards cards to get a free meal. We all know what he's talking about. We all know what he's talking about. I've thought about this when you've got the one business card size thing with the 10th, like get the 10th one free or whatever, and they punch a hole in it every time. That's a $3.50 investment that could pay off long term. And also, some of them have like a little star hole punch. Like, it doesn't matter. No one's checking the shape of the punch that you put in there. No. I've thought about that, but I would never do that. This is a great question. It's simple, it's straight, it's to the point. It's from Air Quick.
Shout out.
It's for you, Jalen.
Okay.
Does Molly have your passwords?
She has my cell phone password.
You need that. Your lady or your dude has to have your cell phone password, or else like that's a failed test. It's for me like no. Like no. If I can't have the code to get it in the phone, then we have to have a bigger conversation than this.
No doubt about it, and it's mutual. This
is a great one from Zardu. Soft move or boss move? Buying toys and games for my kids that I secretly want to play with. Playing with my kids with them, not by that's always another thing.
Because you playing with them and you're playing, it's all positive.
There are 3 boxes of Cinnamon Toast Crunch in my house right now. 3 boxes. I mean, that's egregious. But have Cinnamon Toast Crunch back in my life, that's one of the best things about having children. Having children is very rewarding, but there are side benefits like having Cinnamon Toast Crunch in your life. Next. Ooh. This is from me. Jacoby, did you ever upgrade your spouse's wedding ring? You know what? I did. At some point, after some time, she had twins, push present. I was thinking, yeah, let's upgrade this a little bit. It's always a good idea.
Did you surprise her with it?
No.
Was it a special occasion?
Here's the thing. Let me tell you something, because she needs to be part of the creative process. Another thing is,
you don't want to do all that if she don't like it.
Yeah, and how am I going to be like, hey, let me hold that wedding ring for a couple days? I don't know how that works. But it wasn't actually the wedding ring I upgraded. It was the engagement ring.
Shout out.
Next, this is from Whiskey. Will Kyrie be treated in Cleveland like Ray Allen is in Boston for leaving, even if it was his best option, in Whiskey's opinion?
100% yes. Yep. Because I'm going to give you the key phrases. He asked to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
So when you leave as a free agent and or you ask to be traded, you're basically saying, I don't want to play for this city and for this team. I will be happier somewhere else. So when you return to that location, it's their right to boo you.
Oh, they will definitely boo him. I'm so excited that the Cavaliers and the Celtics play in the opening night. That makes me so happy. I'm also excited that someone told me that opening night's 3 weeks away. I was like, wait, what? I was like, the NBA season starts in like 3.5 weeks.
We're going to watch that game together.
I hope so. You came over to my house last opening night, you remember?
Yes, indeed. Doing the same thing this year.
Great.
Shout out.
Routine.
Great.
Got to get Q and the kids some Detroit Pistons jerseys.
I got to put them to sleep. That's what I got to do. Next. This is from James.
Shout
Would
out.
either of you be guest host for Saturday Night Party if you were offered the gig?
For those that don't know, I was in
Shout
the
out.
speed round
You're nervous.
of Family Feud.
You're nervous.
And
I'm surprised you didn't call timeout.
That's very nice. And what was the question? What goes after Saturday night?
Would you host Saturday Night Live if they asked you to?
Oh, 100% yes.
Oh, no doubt. Get at Jalen. They're not asking me.
No
Get
doubt.
at Jalen. I'll just be there for the tickets, just heckling him from the audience.
That'll be love.
Thank you so much for the tweets. Don't forget to follow us on 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed. That is at Jalen and Jacoby. Subscribe to our podcast. Jalen Rose, some athletes are just socially awkward. And we're here to call them out, and we're here to help them. The latest is Kristaps Porzingis, who has been socially awkward on this very program in the past. But this one is an IG story in which he announces how happy he is to be back in New York and just how sad he is that he is still single. Jalen, two things. Number one, this is socially awkward. But two, take us behind the curtain. What is Mr. Porzingis really doing with this Instagram story about how he's so sad he's still single?
Basically, what he's doing is letting everyone know, not only in the United States, but in particular in the New York metropolitan area, that A, I'm on my way back.
This is like a classified ad.
B, I'm single. He might as well just put an ad in the newspaper.
He should.
This is so thirsty.
It's so thirsty. He is so thirsty. Look at Porzingis, how thirsty he is. He's just out
operating
here
with little or no precipitation.
Look at him out in the desert, just trying to get some water. He is so thirsty. He's telling you exactly where he is, and he's telling you that he's single. I mean, come on, Kristaps. Just you know what? Stop trying to mask it under some sort of announcement as to your whereabouts. Just put it out there. Be like, ladies, I'm Kristaps Porzingis. I'm 7 feet tall. I'm a unicorn. I'm a millionaire. Let's get it.
And if he wanted to, I guess, I don't know what type of people you attract with these ads. If he's looking for groupies, I got some advice for him.
What's that?
Just win.
Just win some games. Win some games. You'll see. You don't have to do stuff like this when you win some games. Make the playoffs. You don't have to do things like this, Kristaps. Make the All-Star team. You don't have to do things like that.
And is he still sliding in
Yes,
people's
he is.
DMs? They got boyfriends.
Yes, he is. He's Pete Rose. He's head first Pete Rose sliding in the DMs.
Oh,
all
man,
the time.
this dude is so thirsty.
Next, the Ravens posted this weird Photoshop of Queen Elizabeth with the Ravens logo painted on her face, fearing that they would start some sort of international controversy, as they say. They quickly deleted it. I have so many things about this. Number one, why did they think this was a good idea in the first place? Number two, why did they delete it? Jalen, would you ever paint your face with the Lions logo on it?
Possibly.
We have an announcement. A long time ago on this program, we've been doing this for years. We used to celebrate Halle Berry. We used to really celebrate her. And especially you. You had a certain passion for her. And what we have to perform, Jalen?
We had to officially perform a Halle burial.
The Halle burial, where we just had to sort of couch, put underground, lay to rest all of our references to Halle Berry and how much Jalen was in love with her in a freakishly weird way. So we have done that. But since the Halle burial, there's been new news about her relationships and her personal life. She is now dating a British producer named Alex the Kid. They have gone public on Instagram confirming their relationship. Jalen Rose, there's a little difference between Alex the Kid and some other people that have dated Halle Berry recently. Does this mean that you missed your chance?
I didn't miss my chance because I'm in a power couple, so I'm good.
Okay. Well, enjoy your power couple. And I wish them the best. I wish Halle Berry and Alex the Kid the best.
Shout out.
Rockies reliever Pat Neshek. He wanted to get Zach Greinke's autograph, So he was at the All-Star game, and he asked Greinke for an autograph, and for whatever reason, Zach Greinke didn't want to give him the autograph. So he went online with this long diatribe where he called Greinke a bleep, hole, and also a turd, which leads to this very important question that we will end the show with. Soft move or boss move, calling somebody a turd?
That's a soft move.
Oh, it's a boss move. Turd needs to come back. I love turd. You know what? I'm bringing it back. We're bringing it back into the lexicon.
Step your vocabulary up.
Turd is just a good insult. You can say it on television. It's kind of funny. You know what I'm saying? You can be mean if you're funny. Don't you feel like that falls under that?
That is mean, and it's not funny.
You might be right.
Cheesy.
Thank you so much for listening to Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.